Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Paw Prince podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Alyssa Carson. Alyssa is a 17-year-old from the United States who will be traveling to Mars in the year 2033. Now, that's a lot of years away, but it's important to consider that humans don't know much about Mars, its climate, its landscape, other physical features. So it really explains why the landing isn't going to happen anytime soon. So Alyssa, I'm going to shoot a simple question at you. Why do you want to go to Mars? And what life experiences have led you up to that decision?
Really life experiences that led up to my decision to go to Mars was basically when I was 3 years old. I was watching this cartoon called The Backyardigans where these people went on a mission to Mars, and after that I was kind of fascinated with it, and I asked a bunch of questions, and then I came back and I said that I was going to become an astronaut and go to Mars, and for some reason that never really went away, and I never really had any second guesses, and if I did like another career, it was never as much as going to Mars.
So setting firm on the decision to go to Mars, that's clearly a very hard thing to do, considering that you've got friends, you've got family. So how supportive have people around you been when you decided that you wanted to do this?
I would say that everyone around me has been very supportive. I mean, even when I was 3 years old and telling my dad that I wanted to become an astronaut, he told me, you can do whatever you want to do. And obviously he didn't realize that I would still be working on this adventure, but still, my dad has definitely traveled with me and done everything with me and supported my dream, as well as the rest of my family and friends, and I've definitely had like a pretty supportive group, so very grateful for that, and it's super important when you're wanting to chase a dream to have someone that supports you.
So being an astronaut, regardless of what your age is, it's pretty hard. And it's not just the course rigor, it's also what you have to sacrifice sometimes. So for you, what personal challenges did you have to overcome to pursue your dream?
Definitely there are challenges every day. First of all, the biggest challenge is just trying to balance everything as far as time-wise. I want to do trainings, want to take space courses, but I also have to complete high school classes, plus traveling and speaking. So it's a lot to manage on top of schoolwork and trying to maintain my grades so that I'm able to go to colleges that I want to go to and study what I want to. So it's definitely tough to keep my grades up, doing everything else that I'm trying to do. So that's pretty tricky. And then also some of the times with these space courses, they're graduate level courses that I'm taking. So there can be some pretty complex ideas in there, especially for our high school students. So it's been tricky kind of keeping up with that, but it's definitely been an amazing learning experience.
I think what you're doing, it's very interesting. Most teenagers don't think about this. Or maybe the truth is that some teenagers do think about it but end up not pursuing it. So what do you want to say to other teenagers who want to pursue a non-traditional career but they're not confident about it?
I think non-traditional careers are actually super awesome because there's actually so much out there that kids aren't really exposed to or they don't really think about. So I would say that if you're looking at pursuing a non-traditional career, definitely go for it, follow your dream and never give up, and start by looking in your local area, seeing if there's anything that can help you. Google a lot just to see what else you can find out there. But yeah, definitely go for it and be confident about it because it's something really awesome to go into.
So Alyssa, you take the IB diploma program, like many of us at DAA. So I'd like to talk a bit more about that. What subjects do you take?
HL subjects are geography, math, and biology. My SL classes are English, Spanish, and physics.
Well, that's a very interesting subject choice, and now I'd like to ask you a bit more of a general question about the IB. So a lot of students, including myself, that take the IB often contemplate if it's even worth taking. So what kind of learning opportunities has it given you that you can apply to your astronaut training? And just what do you think about the IB?
Well, first of all, I think it's really awesome to be able to choose your classes and work around that, which is awesome. I also think IB has definitely prepared me more in terms of writing more like properly scientific papers, preparing me for college in that sense. And also the curriculum that you're learning, it definitely can be used in the future as well.
So you mentioned that the IB is quite useful for university. So I'd like to ask you, what are you planning on majoring in, and how does your major relate to your mission on Mars?
As my major, when I go to college, I plan to study astrobiology, and the reason why I want to do that is because with the mission, like the mission to Mars, we don't particularly know what experiments we're going to do. We have some that we'll have planned out, but there could be surprises. So for example, if I majored in just biology and then we got there and there was a chemistry experiment to do, I don't know, it's just more, with astrobiology, it's more adaptable. You study a little bit of all the sciences and you would be able to adapt more easily, which is what I would like to offer.
Well, it sounds like you've done your research, Alyssa. Now, what you're doing, it's very unique. Most people your age don't even dream about going to space, let alone Mars. So when you meet people your age, what's their first impression of you? Just given how different your ambitions are from most other people.
I would say that when people first speak to me, they are kind of like confused and don't really understand exactly what I'm doing, but I mean, definitely everyone thinks it's super cool, what I'm working on. My friends in particular don't necessarily think it's that amazing anymore just because they're so used to it, but definitely other people, especially my age, will be like, whoa, what? But they're definitely supportive, and they just basically ask loads of questions.
And why won't they not ask questions? I mean, who's not curious about a 17-year-old astronaut? Now, a bit more about your upcoming career as an astronaut. I've seen that you've been given the code name Blueberry. Could you explain what that means or where it came from?
Yeah, my call sign, which is like a nickname, but it has to be given to you, is Blueberry, and I got Blueberry the second time I went to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama, and that's because I wanted one of the blue flight suits that I saw everyone wearing. However, I was really young and really small, and I didn't fit in any of the flight suits that they had, so my dad ended up finding like a knockoff brand, like a fake one. Not like the ones other people were wearing, and it was a really dark shade of blue, like just the wrong color, and so everyone that day would just say, Blueberry, go do this, Blueberry, go do that, and that's basically how it came about.
Well, that's a pretty interesting story. Seems like you guys have a lot of fun at the space camps. But now that you're going to Mars, I'm assuming that your training is quite difficult. So do you find it stressful, or is it still fun to be a part of?
It's pretty intensive. It was a lot of physical stuff, trying to climb into life rafts with spacesuits on, trying to escape from a capsule, parachuting, simulating a parachute drop, swimming in the water in a spacesuit, living out on a life raft. All that stuff was pretty intensive. Even with the microgravity flight, just being in those microgravity conditions while trying to do research at the same time is pretty intense. However, I absolutely love it. I think it is so much fun, and I love the people that I'm doing it with, since all my training is through Project Possum, and I absolutely love everyone a part of that program, and they make it even more fun.
So it seems like one of the aspects of astronaut training that makes it so much fun is your peers, the people you're going to be working with. So how much older are your fellow astronauts that are going to travel to Mars with you?
So when I'm actually on the mission to Mars, my peers will not particularly be older than me, because I'm not looking to apply for the next several years, waiting until after college and after all of that. However, in the training that I'm doing now, which is not through NASA, it is through Project Possum, everyone is much older than me. They're more so in their 30s, 40s.
And one last question, what exactly is it that you're going to be doing on Mars?
For the mission to Mars, what we'll be doing, especially my part, I would say, is I would like to be one of the mission specialists or research scientists on the mission. So with that, testing for signs of bacterial life in the water samples that are on Mars, learning more about the atmosphere, testing the soil, learning more about the history of Mars, seeing maybe if we could terraform Mars, just trying to gain a better understanding of the planet.
Great response, Alyssa, and thank you so much for joining us today. DAA, stay tuned to the Paw Prince podcast for more interesting talks.